Let's move on to uses of rising intonation. Now, the first thing that you have to understand about rising intonation is that it's very common to use it as sentence final and non-sentence final, regardless of if it's sentence final or not sentence final. The rising tone generally gives a feeling of incompletion. It's not complete. Now, behind this idea of incompletion, there's a broader, more general idea at work. When we fall at the end, not only does it feel complete, but it comes to a stop, right? That's the end of the statement. Period. Dot. Stop. Okay? There's a reason why we use that symbol, but the opposite of that is continuing. Forward motion. Now, if it's a list, for example, I'm saying item 1, item 2, item 3. So I'm showing that there's forward motion. There's more to come. In the case of a yes or no question, the question is complete. Do you like dogs? But I'm seeking a response. I need you to complete it. I need you to finish it. So even though the question itself is finished, I'm done speaking. I'm passing it to you to finish it and to end that forward motion. Does that make sense? That's the real key to understanding how rising intonation works. Even if it's, for example, fall rise that we're going to talk about later, this same underlying engine is working to create different effects. Now, the first group I want to talk about here is the non-sentence final intonation. And that's because it's really going to help bring even greater clarity and understanding to the sentence final intonation, which is a lot more than just yes or no questions. In fact, notice yes or no. Or is built into a yes or no question. And that's part of why the intonation works the way it does. So the first case of rising intonation that is not sentence final would be in or statements or questions. The first thing, I've seen some sources call or a rise fall pattern, and that is one way to look at it, but I'm going to look at it a little bit differently here, and you'll see why. Let's start simply with an or statement. I don't know if he likes cats or dogs. I don't know if he likes cats or dogs. Now, there is potential variation here. We're not going to worry about all that based on a specific context. But notice that I rise on the first option, cats or dogs, cats or dogs. So what we're doing here is we have two options. The first option is cats. We're going to rise to show that there's more. And then the or triggers the end of the options, and we fall at the end of the options. Now, this doesn't work very much differently than maybe a regular sentence might, because we're falling at the end, right? Just a regular statement. But what happens in an or question? Does he like cats or dogs? Does he like cats or dogs? Now, I'm falling at the end, but why? Is it possible to rise? Let's see. Does he like cats or dogs? Does he like cats or dogs? That does work. But there's a difference. There's a completely different purpose and meaning there. Notice if I don't rise at the end, does he like cats or dogs? What I'm doing is I am putting those options into brackets, rising on the first, falling on the second. And I'm saying these are the two options. I want to know if he likes cats or if he likes dogs. I'm looking for one of those options as the answer. So you'll either say he likes cats or he likes dogs. So the purpose of that, when we fall, we're just closing the options, and the answer is not going to be yes or no. If I rise at the end and I say, does he like cats or dogs? Now it's a yes or no question. I'm not looking specifically for if he likes cats as one option or dogs as another option, two separate options. I'm using both options, and I'm saying, does he like either one? Okay, does he like cats? Yes, no. Does he like dogs? Yes, no. And if you say yes, you have to specify which one, because it's not clear from the context. So you have to say, yes, he likes cats, yes, he likes dogs, or yes, he likes both. Of course, so you could say no and say no, he doesn't like either. So I know this might be a little confusing, but when we fall at the end of an or question, the purpose is to give these two options and to choose one. If I rise at the end, I'm still giving two options, but I'm just asking if he likes either one, not just one, either one. So there's a different purpose there. So going back to the original or question where we fall at the end, does he like cats or dogs? Does he like cats or dogs? So that is not a yes or no question. It's a cat or dog question. The reason why I say that or is built into a yes or no question, and it explains why we rise on the yes or no question, is because the options in a yes or no question is yes or no. So we fall on one of those. In a regular yes or no question, does he like cats? We rise and pass the ball to you. If I say, does he like cats or dogs? Now I'm falling because it's not a yes or no question anymore. It's an options question. But the rise on cats works in a very, very similar way under the surface. In an options question, I pass the ball between the two options. So I know it's either going to be this one or this one. In a yes or no question, I don't know if the answer is yes or no. And so I'm going up on cats, and then you tell me which one it falls on, yes or no. I know that's kind of abstract, that might be confusing to some of you. If it doesn't help, just forget that particular explanation. You don't need it to fully understand what's going on here, but hopefully everything else makes sense. The next big use of rising inside of the sentence would be with lists. For example, he likes dogs, cats, and birds. Now that seems simple enough, right? We know we're going to rise on the options, fall on the last one. So that's pretty normal, right? We're falling at the end of a statement. It doesn't matter if we have or and, or if it's just a regular whatever statement. We fall at the end. But what happens if I take that list and I don't have it at the end of the sentence? Dogs, cats, and birds are really interesting animals. Dogs, cats, and birds are really interesting animals. I'm not saying dogs, cats, and birds are really interesting animals. That would be a complete falling tone, right? Like period. There's a couple different things you can do here, depending. But the normal default thing that we're going to do when we end a list is we're still going to fall. We're just not going to fall all the way. Because if you fall all the way, you let that gravity take complete control. It feels like the end of the statement. So dogs, cats, and birds. Not and birds. And birds. And birds. And birds. Why do we do that? Well, we still have more in the sentence. So shouldn't we continue through, right? Isn't the rising intonation to show that we're continuing? Yes, but notice the context and purpose. I'm making a list. Because I'm giving you a list, I need to signal to you when the list is finished, right? So that's why we do a partial fall, not a complete fall. And that is the closing bracket of the list. So we rise on item 1, rise on item 2, fall partially on item 3. And notice that this rising effect on the list to show there's more is basically what's happening with or also. When we rise on that first option, it tells you that there's another option. And then if we fall or rise on an or question, that depends if we're looking for a yes or no answer or a this or that answer. So that's a special case. Let's look at some other list examples. I've always wanted to go to Japan, Argentina, and Germany. Now let's put that not at the end. Japan, Argentina, and Germany are some of the countries that I want to visit. She likes apples, oranges, and bananas. Apples, oranges, and bananas are some of the things that she likes. Let's make this a little more complex and combine some elements here. You either have to make more money, borrow some money, or steal some money. Now notice I'm using a list here, combining it with or, and I'm not just giving little one-word options, I'm giving more complex options. Okay, so we're still rising on the first option, rising on the second option, falling on the last option.